Hi, Danielle. It's great speaking with you.
Likewise, thanks for inviting me, Danny
So,
and Danny.
so I wanted to start off. I wanted to first ask you if you could just tell us a little bit about your business.
Sure. So I have been a copywriter, launch specialist in marketing for the past 20 years, to the tune of at least $150 million in sales for clients. I've written 16 seven-figure launches behind the scenes and been advised on many more. And now I run a program called Launch Flow that helps solopreneurs, small business owners, coaches, consultants launch in a way that feels good to them with ease and flow.
So let me go straight into what I wanted to talk to you about, which is that since January of this year, I had a lot of feedback from clients that their launches have not gone as well as previously as 2024. And the kind of things I'm hearing is that turnout is lower at in person, not in person, sorry, t turnout is lower at virtual events like masterclasses and summits. And then I'm also hearing also that when it comes to the actual offer, that take up has been much lower. So I wanted to know a little bit, hear from you a little bit about what really has happened, what has happened in the last 12. This is without going into politics, but really, what do you think has happened over the last 12 months that has really, or 10 months that's really impacted on this change?
I mean, I think we can probably, again, without getting into politics, name a couple of things that happen, but really what it comes down to is volatility
Hmm.
and the uncertainty. And people are still investing, they're still investing in the
Hmm.
right things, in the right kind of support. But and I've been speaking about this, the trust barrier is much, much higher
Hmm.
than it used to be. In other words, we still have a hungry crowd, but we have a much more skeptical market. And what I've been seeing and how I've been helping people adjust their launches and what I see working is a number of things. So we talked about the show up problem. Yes, in general, an hour of somebody's free time costs more than it used to. In other words, it takes more effort to get them to show up for something live because the market is saturated. In a lot of ways, there's a lot of noise around. And so your workshop, masterclass, webinar, whatever you're doing has to really stand out. Um, and the actual show up, in other words, we're busier than ever. And so your show up reminders on multiple channels, making sure you're in their Google Calendar or their Apple Calendar or whatever, more than anything else. And almost a personal outreach to get a verbal commitment that they're gonna be there. So easy way to do this if you don't want to do outreach to everybody, but even in your confirmation email for your workshop, masterclass, whatever, I put in the PS, by the way, just hit reply and let me know that this is on your calendar and you can make it. So even just simple reminders like that, having little micro commitments for them to say yes, we can make it. So that's the show up. And my recent workshops have been anywhere from 40 to 50% show up.
Which is
So
staggering because I'm seeing from what I'm hearing from partners is like 20%.
right. And that's kind of what's happening industry wide. And I don't know that I'm doing anything significantly different other than titles that are compelling and working, and we're testing different things. Add to calendar buttons, and I'm doing a lot that PS in the confirmation and a lot of personal, like reach out on LinkedIn, like, hey, I saw you registered, just checking that you can make it live, that kind of thing.
Another thought I had is that people are often asked to promote events like a week out, and my feeling is that by the time a week has passed, people are already over it. They've forgotten about it.
So actually, I think the opposite is true sometimes. Like my promotion window for my workshops is between 2 and 3 weeks.
Interesting.
And so I see like a couple of waves that happen.
Mm,
There's the initial people that are busy and booked out. Like I know that if something has a week's notice, I probably can't make it
mm,
because my calendar books out, a couple of weeks in advance. And so I have to have at least 3 weeks notice for something in order to make it. And depending on who you're talking to, um, you know, people want that advance notice. That said, there is always going to be that day before, day of registration of like, oh yeah, that's free on my calendar. I can make it. Cool. The spontaneous people. And then you've got, just like any launch, that space in the middle. So potentially start getting it at least in people's awareness earlier,
Mm.
and then make sure you do a strong push right before.
And yeah. So there are types of people: people who plan ahead and people who fly by the seat of their pants. And it seems like the calendar thing is actually really, really important because I know when I've invited people to meetings, if the calendar invite is not in their calendar, they don't show up for meeting. This is meet one-on-one meetings, they don't show up. Or
Exactly.
if they by mistake, send you the link to the wrong calendar, and so you send them an invite, but it doesn't go to the main calendar they use again, they don't show up. So that's a great one. Uh, Another interesting one that I've heard is I have one JV partner who actually asks his partners to promote on the day of the event, where he actually asks them to promote on the morning of the event, and he asks them to send out an email 5 minutes before the event takes place.
Yes.
And he said that
We
works really well.
do 15-minute reminders. If you have a way to get phone numbers and do SMS messaging as well,
Mm.
that is another work, especially for the right before reminders. That's worthwhile if you can do that as well. But yeah, the right befores for those spontaneous people, for the last minute people, or even for the people who signed up and then we're just like forgot about it. It's like, oh, that's now. Okay.
Yeah.
Just the way that we're processing information has changed.
Right. So let's talk about the event itself. So one thing I'm hearing is that the word webinar has become a dirty word and that people prefer to use other words like masterclass or live training. What are your
I
thoughts?
even think that the word masterclass has gone the way of webinar.
Mm,
Um, I think we're past the era of the free masterclass.
mm.
In other words, the market has become more sophisticated.
So
Uh,
we bypass that.
I think we're just at the tail end of it. I
Mm,
I I offer workshops and they are actually interactive, so they have interactive elements to them. I think that's really important if you're going to call it a workshop. But yeah, live training, challenge session, but even that and if you think about the word masterclass,
mm.
it was never meant to be an hour. The
Yeah,
word masterclass itself is, oh, I am going to teach you the compendium of knowledge on this topic. It is a master class. It's not an hour training where we really don't actually get to
yeah,
cover a whole bunch of stuff.
yeah,
So I think people have been a little bit jaded by that
yeah,
word.
yeah. And live training is what it says on the tin. Live training. It kind of tells you what's coming up. Whereas, yeah, I think with phrases like webinar, masterclass, people just feel it's going to be a pitch. Uh,
Sometimes that's okay. I have people who show up to my workshops and know very well that there is going to be an offer at the end. And if
yes,
they are interested enough in the offer, they will show up
cool, right.
because they want to see what I'm doing, because they want to see how I'm doing it, and because that is the way to get on my calendar is to be at the live workshop.
So people know there's going to be an offer, but I think what people are put off by is that that's it, that's all there is. That people are, it's very, very light on the training and very heavy on the offer. So I just wanted to then talk to you about what are you seeing with actual live events that is getting people to buy? What that's dealing with the trust factor that we talked about.
So a couple things.
Mm.
One is even if you are doing a free event, um, deliver value. Make sure that the gap is clear though between what you can cover in a 60-minute session and what your program is going to solve for them.
Yeah.
But yes, take them the first few steps down the path, whether it be interactive, whether there be notes, whether it's right. Cut a lot of the fluff out. If you can keep it under an hour, the entire thing, please do. I see, people who it gets on their calendar as an hour and they drop because they go to another call.
Mm.
So if you're doing a free event, keep it nice and concise. If you are doing
An
this
hour
is something that
an
I'm
hour
seeing a
including the offer.
lot.
Yeah.
This is something I'm seeing a lot is a low ticket paid workshop. In
Mm.
other words, something that where you have a little bit more space to teach and
Yeah.
actually sort of front load teach some of your material, whether you're charging 17, 39, 99, some sort of low ticket where there is a price barrier, but then you're also making the introduction to your higher ticket program. That gives you a little bit more space to play with how get someone to experience how you actually teach and the transformation that they can expect. Because I think an hour is too short for
Mm.
them to really get that transformation, um, and the same experience. And when you put a price barrier on something, you have buyers showing up. That is also a strong signal of intent, right? Those people are going to be higher qualified no matter what you do. They might be a smaller group. So it's a balance.
And with training, what is it that has to be in the training that, as just to get back to trust factor, what is it about the training that is going wrong that you can, that if it's free, that you can maybe correct, that makes so it's not, so people are less jaded. They don't feel it's just a pitch. And
Um, well, anything that is going to feel formulaic,
mm,
yes, there is a formula. Yes, there is a structure. That structure still stands, but I think the templated version of it has served its purpose. And
mm,
so, but for let me tell, just be a real person.
yeah,
Um, just be a real person. Uh, Tell your story, but don't make it 20 minutes of a rock bottom and then this happened and then that happened. Social proof, like talk about your case studies, but don't put 20 slides of testimonials without context. People will be bored. Tell actual case studies of what happened from beginning to end with numbers in a
mm,
way that is interesting, right? So shifts like that. In other words, I hate to use the word fluff, but cut some of the fluff.
mm, yeah. Yeah, so it's teaching an art. It's teaching people a formula or a system, but there's context, as in you're showing how you did this. Like you're maybe taking them through a case study, so they can actually see that it's been done and it's possible.
Yes, all the elements of the webinar state are the same. They're
Mm,
all the same. The proportions are a little bit different, and I think the the way in which we deploy the levers of marketing, so to speak, in a webinar or a workshop, should be real. Like if you have those big value stacks of this is worth $5,000, like make sure if you're going to put a value, just a retail value on something, that it's a real value. In other words, I charge $1,000 an hour for consulting time. So if I talk about the amount of hours that you get working with me in my program, that's a real number.
yeah,
So attach real values to your offer when you are building a value stack, but don't not build the value stack, right?
yeah. Okay, so this takes us me onto the subject of the actual offer itself. So that's the next thing. Then we talked about sharp rates. We've talked about people actually staying on to watch what you're presenting, and then there's the feedback I'm getting that people are just not buying. So what's going wrong there?
Um, what's happening is the same. It's just another symptom of the trust barrier
Yeah.
being higher than it used to be. In other words, the $2,000 just buy it right now offer, um, we're just seeing that work less well. Um, the barrier in which someone might want to have a conversation with you before they buy is potentially lower than it used to be. Even people who would be willing to spend high ticket 4 or 5 figures with you sometimes need to make a much smaller investment in order to build that relationship. So whether that's, a couple $100 to say yes to something like that,
Mm,
on a workshop, that sub $1,000 mark, and then be able to move into the larger program as a seamless extension. So shorter programs, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, get someone a fast transformation, and then make clear that the next step is the higher ticket offer. So sometimes it is even some offer restructuring.
mhm. Do people still buy high ticket offers? Are you saying
Yeah.
that you can't have some
Um,
people with high ticket offers anymore?
Depends. It depends. It depends on what the offer is, depends on the market, it depends on a lot of things. I would say yes, but differently.
Mm,
Um, and the way that I the way that I teach is really like what feels comfortable for you to pitch.
mm,
In other words, would you rather craft a live conversion event that says there's no buy button at the end of this. There is this program and an invitation to chat with me about it. And
Mm,
that sometimes for people takes the pressure off.
mm.
Or put something together that is an easy yes because it's an amazing amount of value for low ticket, build the relationship, and then continue from there. It's a matter of personal preference
Yeah.
in a lot of cases and what feels the most comfortable to pitch. Because we talk about energy flow, the way that you show up with that energy is also a big factor of how you will convert.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm hearing what I'm hearing a lot from you there is about authenticity, that people are put off by something that feels too formulaic. But if you're showing up as your authentic self, that in of itself increases the trust factor. So you still may, be able to sell quite successfully if people feel that there's something different about you.
It does. And I am not saying by any means to not use the foundational structures and levers of marketing that work. In other words, urgency, scarcity, price anchoring, um, bonuses, all of those things still work. It is how you deploy them and the energy with which you deploy them that makes a difference right now.
Okay, that's fantastic. So just before we close, what would be your general like parting comment to marketers who feel a lot of skepticism? And I have people coming to me saying, JVs, does this even work anymore? Live events don't work, summits don't work. Should I just give it? What would you say to the skeptics?
Um, Maybe what you are doing is not working.
Hmm.
And that is okay, because everything in marketing is a big experiment at the end of the day. And, but I would say don't say what I always say, which is don't just not launch, just launch better. Find a way, find a different structure, test a different format, really align with what feels comfortable for you to pitch. Because what also I think happens is sometimes we have inner friction with the way we are showing up and selling. I see this, with my clients. If we have to believe 100% in our offers and the transformation that it provides in order for that to transfer.
Yeah,
Don't let AI write your emails, webinar, workshop stuff. Like just write in your real voice. That was a lot of parting words, but
there's a lot of
hopefully there's
there's a lot of potting words, but I think what you're saying is that what this is really about is that things change all the time, right? And buyers become more sophisticated, buyers become wise up, buyers wise up. So the things that might have worked a long time, once don't anymore, and you just have to move with where your buyers are, and that's something that happens all the time.
we have become, again, much more discriminating in where we are making investments,
Mm.
and we want to buy from real people. And trust is not, unless, JV is interesting and different because if you can do that trust transfer effectively before the live conversion event, and there are ways to do it more effectively, then you can increase the likelihood that that will happen. But everything, there's just a higher bar. There's
Yeah,
just a higher bar for trust than there used to be. And therefore, we have to be sharper with our messaging, strategy, show up, marketing channels, all of those things.
that is. I think that's the really everything you've said has been really, really insightful, really helpful. Thank you so much, Danielle.
Uh, you're very welcome.